Okay, today I'm gonna do a video on just a 2004 Crown. The problem I'm having with it is that you start it up after it's been sitting cold or whatever, you get like a screeching noise, and then it goes away. And at first I thought it might have been a belt, some kind of pulley issue, but I removed the belt and did the test, and same noise. So it sounds like it's coming from right in this left-hand valve cover area. So I'm gonna put the camera down and start it and see if I can pick up this sound so you guys can hear it. Now, where I'm thinking this sound is coming from is something to do with the timing chain. Okay, here we're back on the 2004 Crown Vic screeching problem when you start it. You guys heard the noise, and what I did was I took all this crap off the motor and removed the left-hand valve cover, which was yeah, it wasn't that hard, but it's not really easy. You got to get all those electrical connectors off and make sure this wiring harness back here is pulled all the way up and clear, and you can wiggle it out. And what I did was it sounded like the noise was coming from up in here, so I was able to inspect the chain and the guides, what I can see on the side of the motor, and all look really good. This has got 198,000 miles on the motor, and the guides, chain, what I could see through the hole, all look really good. So then what I did is I removed all the cam followers because they got a roller bearing on them, and you know that can make a screeching noise if one of those rollers goes bad. And I removed all of them, checked them all, they were all fine. And just so you guys know, on these 4 6-liters, those rocker arm assembly deals, there's like a special tool to compress the spring. Well, I ran across a video on YouTube where a guy was just using a screwdriver, and I had that special tool, but I tried his method and it worked quicker than using the tool. So you know, you got to give credit where credit's due. This guy's got a really good idea and it works fine. But I removed every one of them and tested them. They all tested fine. So I'm scratching my head. I said, well, I'm not getting into this timing chain for no reason. I got to prove what the hell's wrong. So I went back to YouTube and just kept searching for this problem, and finally I ran across a forum, and a mechanic there says that the starter, it's the starter making that screeching noise. So I said, well, let me pull the starter. Okay, I removed the starter from the vehicle. It's not too hard to get out. It's a little dicey, but it's doable. And I dismantled the back end of the starter, and actually this piece will come out, and I re-lubed it. There's like planetary gears in here, and lubed up the bearings. But what I found was on the Bendix gear, it was real tight to spin, and it's like a one-way clutch. So when the engine starts, then it just spins free until the the solenoid pulls it back in. So what the guy was saying on there made sense, because if that thing, when the engine starts, and it's going to rev up that Bendix gear, and if the bearing in it is going bad, it's going to screech like that. And the problem with this is it would only do it when it was real cold. And it started out about 6 months ago, just occasionally would do it. And now it does it every time it's cold and you start it. And And then after the engine gets to operating temperature, you know, and stuff, and you restart it, it doesn't make that noise. So I'm figuring it's either warming up whatever little grease was left in this bearing in here and preventing it from doing that. So what I'm going to try is I dismantle the starter. It comes apart really easy. Just don't, you know, pull this shaft part out, otherwise you're going to have to reset the brushes and all that, which you don't want to get into. And I'm soaking this Bendix in oil so it gets into the bearing part of it. And I'm going to, you know, grease up all the shafts, the slides, and we're going to put it back in and see if it solves the problem. Okay, I just got the starter back together and reinstalled. And I just remember I was telling you when you heard that noise at the beginning of the video, that happened every time it was cold started. So this is the engine's cold, and we're going to see if we have any luck. I'm going to put the camera down and see if we can pick up any noise. Didn't hear the screeching noise anymore. So apparently it solved the problem. Now that, like I say, that Bendix gear in there is like a one-way gear, kind of like a sprag clutch, like in a transmission. And you know, I soaked it in oil and freed it up a lot. It's fairly smooth, but that in itself would warrant a starter replacement. But I just wanted to you know, test the theory. I got enough oil worked in there to where it doesn't screech anymore. So it pays to hunt around and look for solutions people on YouTube they have out there. You know, a lot of this noise, a guy started his car up, put it on YouTube, was exactly the same as this, and just a gazillion, oh, it's the tensioner, the belt. Well, you know, in this car you can eliminate. What I did is I just took the belt off, so that eliminated all the pulleys, the water pump, idlers, and it still made the noise, so you can eliminate any of that. But it was a unique screech. It almost sounded like a belt, and the way it echoed through the engine, it sounded like it was coming up from this driver's side valve cover. But that just shows you how you know, noises like that will travel through the engine. Hope this helps you guys out and saves you a bunch of aggravation.